is Dr. Charles Desjardins, or Dr. Chuck, from the Center of Self-Actualization University. This is article number 2 on self-actualization. The question that we're addressing today is, how can a person tell if they are self-actualizing? Several ways, lots of ways to tell if we're self-actualizing. And one of the ways is when we live lives that operate by growth. If we understand, if we talked in the articles before, that self-actualization is living at growth needs, things that drive us and motivate us rather than deficiency needs. Another way is when we operate by dreams and by passions, and again, not by our fears and by our anxieties. And when our core self seeks expression, when we finally find that core self, it seeks to express itself. That's how we know when we're self-actualizing. So when I say, so let's go back to when we live our lives that operate by growth. When a person lives life such that they are not consumed by just having their lower needs met, and we all need our lower needs met, our needs for safety, for security, for love, for relationships, and we're consumed by those, and the meanings that we give things, and the motivation that we have in life are to have those met. We're not actualizing as much as we can, or we're not, I guess, further along in our journey of self-actualization. It's when a person's life is in a state of being, when we have peak experiences. It's when we live our lives not so much to do, but to be, to express. And through that, we do have moments and periods and times of peak experiences. And when we make small growth choices every day seems to be a growth choice is made, from growth choice to growth choice to growth choice, instead of from a deficiency base. It's also when people operate by their dreams and their passions, when their behavior moves them toward their dreams, when my patterns of behavior, when my steps, when my actions, when the things that I do move me toward my dreams, toward those things that are deep inside of me, that's when I can tell I'm on this journey of self-actualization. When my dreams and my passions align, because I can have a dream and not a passion, or a passion for a deficiency need, but when my dreams, my self-actualizing dreams and the passion that I are aligned, I can tell I'm on that journey of self-actualization. When they constantly get back up, when they fall for a moment, when I say fall, when we all have our moments where we kind of crawl or run up and down Maslow's hierarchy. So when we do find ourselves being moved by fear or anxiety or our deficiency needs, it's temporary, it's momentary. And ultimately, our core base and our core self is to actualize. And so we get back up and we fall. It's also when our core self seeks expression. It's when we live anxious lives of fulfillment. There's an anxiety that comes along with self-actualization. An anxiety because every time I experience this actualizing potential, I want more of it. So I'm anxious for more. I don't actualize and then, oh, well, that's gone. What can I do tomorrow? It is a growth process. It's when their hope of living resides inside. Our hope of living doesn't reside outside of us, but inside of us. And when we're at peace with our progress of personal expression, when I am peacefully aware with myself and my expression and who I am, and not enculturated by so much else. Now, those are kind of some high-level overviews of how we can know if we're self-actualizing. There has been research done. Shostrom did some research, and he created a personal orientation inventory that measures self-actualization. And there's 12 key characteristics of those who measure from a research perspective as self-actualizing. So let's look at these, and that would tell us and help us realize if we are on that journey of self-actualization. There's a thing called time competence. That's when we live in the present. The past helps us to move along. We have our past, and the future is there that we look toward, but our lives are not consumed where we dwell on the past, and we're so fixated on the future, but we live healthy lives in the present. It's when we are interdirected. We're independent and self-supportive. We will listen to others and want feedback from others, but ultimately our external locus of control is inside. It's not a locus of control from the outside, but the inside. And we have self-actualizing values. We hold values of self-actualizing people. All these key characters and concepts. That's our value. That's how we see the world. That's how we evaluate the world. Other characteristics, the fourth one is existentiality. We're flexible in our application of values, where we live from this existential base where we realize that it's not always a fixated rule that we must live by, and that rule drives our behavior, but we have values that are flexible in application. Another one is called feeling reactivity. We're sensitive to our own needs and feelings. We're not afraid to be sensitive to our needs. We're concerned about other people, but there is a concern for our own needs, my own feelings, who I am, what I want to become. Another one, the sixth one, is spontaneity. We freely express feelings behaviorally, very spontaneous. People that are self-actualizing on that journey are spontaneous in nature. Seventh is self-regard. That very high self-worth. There's a value that we realize inside that we're worth something, our humanness, our greatness as humans, that we're more than the sum of our parts, that we're more than our behaviors and our actions. And there's a high self-worth and a value given on just ourself as a person. So that also brings us to self-acceptance. We accept ourselves in spite of our weaknesses. I like to say, and I think Dr. Michael Hall says, we're gloriously fallible. And I realize that when I make mistakes, I am gloriously fallible, and I accept my weaknesses. And if those weaknesses hinder my self-actualization, then I want to adjust those and buttress those up with something better. But my weaknesses don't get me down. The nature of man is how, when we're self-actualizing on that journey, we have a constructive view of the nature of man. We see man as essentially good. We see that men can have evil, can do bad, but those are out of desperation. Those are out of our fear that our deficiency needs will not be met. We become anxious, we become fearful, we become angry, we become mad, we become controlling. But take that out of the way, remove those barriers, and man is essentially good. The 10th one is synergy. Self-actualized people on that journey tend to see opposites of life as meaningful, related. It's not a dichotomous world where it's black or white, it's this thing or that thing, but there's a way to develop a synergy. When I see new philosophies or ideas, I tend to look at those as how will they develop, how do they affect the model I have, and how do they increase that and grow that, because we all have information and knowledge. And so you have a synergistic worldview rather than a dichotomous black and white worldview. There's also the 11th is an acceptance of aggression. We accept feelings. People that are on this journey of self-actualization tend to accept feelings of anger and aggression. You realize it's okay to be angry at times. I have values. I have beliefs. I'm sensitive to those. And they're my values and my beliefs. But if someone violates those, it's okay to get angry and be aggressive in nature at times. So we accept that, and we realize that's part of our human nature. And the last one, the 12th one, there's lots more, but not from the POI, is the capacity for intimate contact. And that people that are on this journey of self-actualization tend to have warm interpersonal relationships with themselves, with other people of like mind. They do tend to seclude when they need to be built back up, but there's always it's within a social setting and good interpersonal relationships. So those are some of the key things that you can look at. You may not be there on every one of them. If you don't experience one or two or three or four of them, it doesn't mean you're not on that journey of self-actualization, but there are ways to tell. And the key ways, I believe, go back to my living from a deficiency-based, driven life of fear and anxiety that I won't get my lower needs met, or have I accepted both physically and psychologically and mindfully that those needs are met. I'm on this journey of self-growth, of self-development. And with that come these characteristics that I talked about. Thank you very much for watching this video article. Enjoy your journey of self-actualization. It's your journey. It's no one else's. Enjoy it and